every thought turns to Yale. From the very beginning of the game between Harvard and Yale, everyone seemed to sense that this was to be a most dramatic afternoon.
1968 was certainly, in the 20th century, an epic game.
I was 14 years old and I followed Harvard football devoutly. All season we'd heard about the great Yale juggernaut starring Brian Dowling and Calvin Hill that was headed toward Cambridge.
Playing for Yale in the 60s was great. We had a really good team.
And playing for an incredibly decent man, Carm Koza. He just sort of instilled in us this desire to be together, support each other, love each other.
He loved beating Harvard and beating Princeton.
Both teams were unbeaten. Yale was supposed to win.
Harvard was still the question mark in this equation. There was no question about Yale's greatness.
So they get into Harvard Stadium, both undefeated, a game that had enormous national significance. At the time, the Ivies were major league powers. Both those teams were nationally ranked. Yale was way up there.
It looks as though Yale may be on its way to a rout, leading now 22-0 in the second quarter.
You know, we knew we were good and we had a great time winning those games, until the last one.
Now Chappie calmly hits Freeman from 15 yards out, and it's 29-19.
The sequence of events that led to Harvard tying the game will never be repeated. It was so unbelievable. Yale was absolutely stunned.
We beat the crap out of this team for 57 minutes, and everything just sort of unraveled.
I mean, you have to understand, Yale was up by 16 points with 42 seconds left in the game. Sports Illustrated has written it up as one of the most exciting college football games ever. Everything fell into place for Harvard.
Too many turnovers and penalties and questionable calls, and we let them back in.
When they recovered the onside kick, they were down 8, so they needed one more touchdown and a 2-point extra point to tie us. And there was 40 seconds to go. I said, well, we can't lose. So they didn't play overtime then. So the worst we can do is tie. And that's what happened.
Final unbelievable minute is a 2-point conversion.
Most of the Harvard side was pouring down on the field. When you see the film of it, it was as if the Harvard stands just emptied immediately.
Even after all this time, the disappointment of a tie in 1968 still hurts. Today, 50 years later, there's a part of me that wants to get out on that field right now and get the job done.
Brian last night said he got over the game in about 30 minutes. It's taken me a little bit longer.
Harvard looks at that as a win. Even though it was a tie, we shared the title, Yale looks at it as a loss.
And obviously from the Yale side, we feel like it was a tie or a loss. They felt like it was a win, Only at Harvard can you tie a game and call it a win.
So I think it's a very special game this year, this 50th anniversary.
This has become, for many Harvard and Yale students, a reunion.
Hello. Harvard!
29! Go Dogs!
A social occasion, a time when many of them come back and see one another, very importantly, see one another. So the game matters. Never say the game doesn't matter. The game matters.
Bingo, 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 that's the lingo.
Every year around this time I say, oh, okay, I better check in on Yale and see what's going on, because it doesn't make any difference what's gone down before. This is the one. This is the game.
Fight with all your might for bingo, bingo.